Good evening, everyone. I am Trish Regan. Welcome to Fox News Tonight. We begin with our top story. The NFL announcing today it will still allow its players to kneel during the national anthem. This despite outrage from patriotic fans and opposition from President Trump, who tweeted out earlier, quote, NFL, too much talk, not enough action. Stand for the national anthem, unquote. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke to the press today after meeting with NFL players, owners, and union officials. It all led to no action on the anthem.
We have about 6 or 7 players that are involved with this protest at this point. And this is something that what we try to do is deal with the underlying issue and understand what it is that they're protesting and try to address that matter. And so let me finish if you can. So the important thing for us is to be able to do that and take that opportunity to make real differences in our community.
Commissioner Goodell did state that his preference is for the players to stand for the anthem, and also discussed what is motivating the players to kneel.
They're talking about criminal justice reform, whether it's bail reform, whether it's talking about sentencing, mandatory sentencing. They're talking about changes that I think will make our communities better, that there is bipartisan support for across our nation.
The commissioner also discussed the concerns of the fans, but again, offered a defense for his players.
I understand where our fans feel about this issue, and we feel the same way about the importance of our flag, about the importance of patriotism, and I believe our players feel that way. They will state to you, and they have stated to everyone publicly, they are not doing this in any way to be disrespectful to the flag.
Joining us right now for reaction in Houston, we have Horace Cooper, the co-chair of the 21 Project, and in Los Angeles, Leo Terrell, a radio talk show host and civil rights attorney. Good to see you both. Horace, I'll start with you. Roger Goodell had an opportunity here. He had an opportunity to take a stand, to actually say something meaningful, and he punted. Why?
Well, I was going to say it was an incomplete pass. Here's the
I like
problem.
the analogies.
The American people have made it very clear that they reject this behavior. It's disrespectful. And it is up to Roger Goodell and the NFL to decide, are we going to be responsive to the concerns that the American people have expressed? And by the way, these are black Americans, white Americans, brown Americans, Americans across the board reject this behavior as disrespectful. And now we're going to see the trend continue of fewer viewers, fewer ticket buying, fewer support for the NFL.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, though.
Responsibility.
Horace, you're right. You're right. In other words, he's not responding to his consumers here. He's not responding to his viewers. And at some point, Leo, he's going to pay a bigger price down the road. Because as ratings fall, revenue falls. And that, at the end of the day, is really what this is going to be all about.
Well, I respectfully disagree for the following reason. Let's be very clear about this for the American public are watching this program. One, racial injustice makes people nervous, and that's the first problem. Secondly, Goodell could not make these players stand because it's not in the collective bargaining agreement. But this is the part that's really disingenuous for Horace and a lot of people who are criticizing these players. These players are kneeling. And you know what most Americans do when the national anthem is on, Trish? You know what they do? They run into the kitchen, they get a beer. You know what some fans do? They run to get another hot dog. Let's have an honest conversation of all those people who are criticizing these players. What do they do when the national anthem comes?
Simple.
Let me finish. No. They get up there and run to the kitchen.
But it's pretty simple, right? These guys, these players, are working for a team owner. They're working for that owner that ultimately has the right to decide whether or not they stand for the anthem. And think about it. Google's a great example, right? There was an engineer at Google. Let me finish. Let me finish. There was an engineer at Google who said something very bad about women and why he didn't think they were engineers. Well, guess what? Google fired him. Google had the right to fire him. And in this case, the players have every possible opportunity to get fired as well.
Let me respond. Google has nothing to do with this. It's called a collective bargaining agreement, Trish, and you know what that means? And there's nothing in the collective bargaining agreement that requires these players to stand. Now, you know that, and I know that. So let's make sure the American public knows that. They're not required.
You're collecting a
they're not required to
paycheck.
stand.
Okay.
So you think, all right, let me jump in and get Horace back into the conversation, because Horace, do you think that ultimately this is what it's going to come down to, that is Roger Goodell so afraid of those players? Are the team owners so afraid of those players walking off the field that they are allowing them to basically thumb their nose at the American public?
A few bad eggs may in fact ruin a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, Leo explains that because some Americans at these stadiums use the time that we should be honoring the flag in a way that's not honorable, it means everybody should be disrespectful, because that's exactly what this behavior is. That's how it's perceived. And even when the players are asked,
is amazing.
the few that are,
amazing.
even when asked, they can't even
let him finish and then we'll get you back in. Hey, hang tight. All right, keep going.
They can't even give us a specific and detailed outline of their critique. If they wanted to have that, they can do it on their time, not on the American.
Yeah, not on their employer's time. I hear you.
The president has hijacked this issue to make it about patriotism. Again, as I said, no one's commenting on this. Racial injustice. Let me finish. Racial injustice makes people nervous. And again, Trish, you know this: collective bargaining agreement, contract between the players and the owners. You don't have to stand, and the fans are getting what they want. They're getting a football game. How many people in the American public watching this program when the national anthem goes on? How many go to the kitchen? How many go up and get another hot dog? Tell the truth. A lot of people don't even stand when they're watching the game.
What does that have to do with anything? What is that? You know, I'll tell you, that's a bunch of baloney. Here's the thing. No. That's a bunch of baloney, because I'll tell you one thing.
No, it's not
every
baloney.
single time I hear the national anthem anyway, every single time I sing the national anthem, I get goosebumps, and I feel very privileged and very honored to have grown up in this country with all the opportunities I have had. And you know what? You're pretty darn lucky if you're out there collecting a pretty nice paycheck working for the NFL.
That nice paycheck.
Shouldn't you honor that opportunity?
You know what makes this country great? Because people have the right to have a different opinion. And why don't you comment on this? Is there racial injustice in this country? Because that's what the players are talking about. Is there racial injustice in this country? Well,
but why is that an issue that suddenly is creeping into football, Horace? I mean, why aren't we just watching a game, which is entertainment?
You have Chris.
Hang on, let Horace answer the question. Leo, hang on.
That question was to me.
Go ahead.
They get paid on average $2 million. This is the strangest oppression that I've ever heard of. The second point is that everyone understands, if Leo was right, that we don't care what's going on. We're going to the refrigerator and all of that. Then why did they pick that time to make this expression? They did it precisely because they wanted to hit us in the jugular and claim that America, our nation, which we honor with the flag, that is the reason why they are attacking it. And that's wrong. That's disrespectful. And these people,
I'm the only one talking about the law, collective bargaining agreement, racial injustice. And let me be very, very clear about this. You know why there's a guy like LeBron James, a football player named Chris Long, who's donated his check? There is a problem in this country. It's called racial injustice. That's what the whole standing.
But you know what? There's plenty of opportunity, Leo, for you to do that on your own time. I get it. You know, if you want to take up a political cause, if you want to stand out for, and you know, I hear you. I agree. There's racial injustice out there. But why are you doing that at a time when you are collecting a check from a team owner and people are sitting down looking forward to watching a game?
No, Leo, you're the one telling people that they can't protest.
What gives you the right
The American people
all right. One at a time.
What gives you the right to tell people how to protest?
Final thought to Horace.
It's amazing. It's amazing for two people on national TV to tell 340 million people how to protest. You can't tell me how to protest.
You're misunderstanding it entirely.
It's unbelievable.
The American people
why is my
are protesting.
relevant?
the American people are protesting this behavior themselves by choosing not to watch, by choosing not to purchase, by choosing not to participate.
Okay.
And ultimately, it will lead to the
great.
collapse of the NFL if the NFL doesn't pay attention to what the American people need.
I would just point out the inconsistencies with the NFL and Roger Goodell. Where was he on the domestic violence concerns? Where was he, really? Because you know what? There was no reason any of those players should have been out there on the field when they were doing what they were doing, including the Ray Rice video that we all saw. And then I would add, Leo, no. I have one more thing. Leo, where was Roger Goodell when all of the news surfaced about these concussions? If Roger Goodell and the NFL and the team owners actually cared about their players, they would have been out in front of all these issues, especially concussions, but they were nowhere to be found. You know what? It didn't matter economically. So I tell you what, sir, a paycheck does matter, and that ultimately is probably going to be what decides this when ratings keep going down.
In response to that, he just suspended Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games. And more importantly, the NFL did something that other companies should have done. They didn't give the state of Arizona a Super Bowl until they acknowledged MLK Day. So don't tell me that the NFL is not socially progressive. My hat's off to Goodell because he's taking action. But again, you guys apparently
plenty
don't
of
believe
opportunity to
there's
take
racial
action on a
injustice.
whole lot of
Not
things,
one of you two
including domestic violence and including concussions. Anyway, good to see you guys. I'm going to conclude this segment right there. Thank you very much, Leo. Thank you, Horace. Thank you. Coming up, everybody.